After Aizen's departure, all the injured are getting treated. Fully healed, Ichigo and his friends make their way back to Karakura Town after saying farewell to Rukia. Where will the story go from here? Arriving back at Karakura Town, Kisuke is there to greet them. As they're heading home, we find out that Ukitake has given Ichigo a badge of some sort. The badge was given to Ichigo as a sign of good faith for trying to help stop Aizen as a Quincy. Ishida, in particular, finds the badge familiar but lets it go for now. As things go back to normal, Ichigo continues to go on his patrols to fight hollows. Since he is now incorporating his Shinigami energy to make his Quincy arrows, the hollows he now defeats actually get sent to Soul Society. We then see someone floating watching Ichigo from afar. That someone is Shinji Hirako, who is apparently a new transfer student to Ichigo's class. A lot of things are set in motion. Shinji arrives with a Zanbakuto and Hollow's mask, telling Ichigo they should work together. Elsewhere, Ishida tries to fight off a hollow as his father Ryuken saves him from getting killed. Finally, Grand Fisher arrives with a Zanbakuto trying to get revenge on Ichigo. What's shocking is the fact that Ishin is there to fight not as a Quincy, but as a Shinigami. After Grand Fisher's defeat, Kisuke arrives to tell Ishin that everyone is about to make their move. The following day, Shinji brings up how there's a hollow inside Ichigo and tells him that he can help control it. Back at home, Ichigo contemplates Shinji's offer, saying as it prevents him from using his Quincy powers. All of a sudden, Ichigo senses some strong spiritual pressure. This spiritual pressure belongs to Ukiura and Yami. Chad and Orihime arrive but are clearly outmatched. When Yami tries to attack Orihime, Ichigo shoots his arm off with an arrow. When he's about to finish Yami off, his bow and arrow shatter as the hollow inside tries to take over. Yami proceeds to get some hits in before Kisuke and Yoroichi arrive to save him. A few days later at school, Ichigo feels guilty for the fact that he wasn't strong enough to protect his friends. To get him out of his slump, some familiar faces arrive. Rukia takes Ichigo to a nearby hollow and gives him a pep talk to find his resolve to fight and become stronger. He's then informed by Hitsugaya about Aizen and the Vastalordes. There's unfortunately no time to rest because later that night, Grimmjow and his faithful servants have arrived to wreak havoc upon Karakura Town. With the matchup set, Ichigo faces off with Grimmjow. His arrows are not doing much and he takes quite the beating. In a cloud of dust, Ichigo fires a supercharged arrow, making Grimmjow bleed. Meanwhile, the hollow slowly starts to try and take over. Before their fight escalates any further, Kaname arrives to bring Grimmjow back to Huecomundo. After what happened, Ichigo goes to Shinji to see if he can actually keep the hollow within him in check. Before Shinji can help, he asks Ichigo what happens to his Quincy powers when the hollow tries to take over. Ichigo tells him that his bow and arrow breaks and is unable to manifest them with Reishi. He also tells Shinji that he is able to form bigger and stronger arrows when he materializes Reishi from within. Shinji sends Hiyori to fight Ichigo to see if a Quincy is capable of hollowifying. Seeing his hollow come out and almost kill Hiyori, Shinji and his allies stop him and begin the training. It's within this training that Ichigo meets Hollow Ichigo, the real Zangetsu. Thinking he's just a hollow causing him problems, Ichigo attacks him with arrows. Hollow Ichigo deflects the arrows with a huge sword and tells Ichigo arrows are for weaklings. Fortunately, Ichigo manages to defeat him. With this victory, Ichigo is now capable of imbuing the Rietsu within him with Hollow Rietsu. What Ichigo doesn't realize is that he is now using his Shinigami energy to keep his hollow energy in check so he will be able to fight. A month later, Grimmjow, Yami, Wonderwise, and the newly appointed sixth Espada Lupi invade Karakura. He once again comes face to face with Grimmjow. Ichigo then manifests a black bow. Grimmjow is struggling to keep up, but before Ichigo can deliver the final blow, his bow returns to normal. Grimmjow takes this opportunity to attack Ichigo until Rukia saves him and Shinji saves her. While the fighting is happening, Orihime gets captured by Ukiura and brought to Mundo. Hearing about Orihime's capture, Ichigo, Chad, and Ashida head to Mundo. They arrive and have a lot of ground to cover. Along the way, Rukia and Renji join their party and they also meet a trio of Hollows, Nel, Dondochaka, and Pesce. They reach Las Noches and split up. With Nel by his side, Ichigo faces his first opponent, Dordoni. Ichigo holds back and gets kicked around. Dordoni uses his Resurrection, attacking Ichigo ferociously. He then switches his attacks towards Nel, forcing Ichigo to fight seriously. It's at this moment Ichigo's bow turns black and he ends the fight with a single arrow. Making his way through enemy territory, Ichigo crosses paths with Ukiura. Ichigo at first doesn't have a reason to fight, but is provoked into attacking. Going all out, Ichigo fires a myriad of arrows. Unfortunately, they are ineffective and Ukiura blasts him with a arrow. Still conscious, Ichigo discovers that Ukiura is the fourth Espada. He pierces his chest and leaves. As his body lies on the floor lifeless, Grimmjow arrives along with Orihime. He orders her to heal Ichigo so the two can end their fight once and for all. Ukiura shows up and the two Espada clash. Sending Ukiura away, Ichigo and Grimmjow are free to fight one another. Changing locations, the two combatants are on equal footing. As Grimmjow fires a Grand Race arrow, Ichigo fires a black arrow to negate it. Seeing Ichigo go all out, Grimmjow uses Resurrection. He closes the distance multiple times and is able to land some heavy attacks. Ichigo, unfazed, fires some deadly attacks of his own. After going back and forth, Ichigo and Grimmjow use the final attacks, with Ichigo being victorious. After Kenpachi's fight with Noitra, Stark brings Orihime back to Aizen. Ichigo rushes over and must defeat Ukiura to save her. Ichigo is holding his own at first, but Ukiura kicks it up a notch. Using his Resurrection, it's a one-sided fight. Ukiura then unleashes his Segunda Etapa, leaving a hole in Ichigo's chest. Unable to heal his wounds, Orihime screams for Ichigo to help her. He gets up, but in a hollowified form. In this monstrous form, Ichigo creates a bow and arrow using the energy from his own Sero. Using the Sero arrows alongside his Sero blasts, Ichigo gains the upper hand. Try as he might, Ukiura fails to damage Ichigo and is brought down. Ishida tries to stop Ichigo but gets shot by a hollow arrow. Aiming a Sero blast at Ishida, Ukiura jumps in to stop it. Ichigo comes back to his senses and a weakened Ukiura fades away. With Ukiura defeated, An Orihime save. Unohana brings Ichigo to Karakura Town to help defeat Aizen. Ichigo arrives on the battlefield behind Aizen. He uses this opportunity for a point-blank shot on Aizen's head. It's ineffective and Ichigo proceeds to fire a few more arrows from a distance. Those two are easily dodged, and Aizen shows Ichigo how easy it is to reach him. The Goatee 13 and Vizards arrive to protect Ichigo from seeing Aizen's Shinkai. With Aizen defeating them, General Captain Yamamoto gives Ichigo an opportunity for a clear shot. Succeeding on injuring him, Ichigo continues to fire, but his attacks are dodged or blocked. Aizen's body heals and shows Ichigo that it's the power of the Hokokyu. He then tells Ichigo that everything he's been through was all a part of his plan. Not believing a word he says, Ichigo continues to attack. Aizen, unfazed, continues to tell Ichigo that he's known him since he was born. Shaken by this revelation, Isshin arrives to snap his son out of it. While Isshin squares off against Aizen, Ichigo's opponent is Gin. Using his Bankai, Gin is able to fight Ichigo from afar. With quick reactions, Ichigo manages to dodge and fire back. Gin retracts his sword and mixes his attacks. Figuring out how his Bankai works, Gin shows Ichigo what else it's capable of. Gin loses interest in fighting Ichigo and leaves with Aizen. Looking like all hope is lost, Isshin has a plan to protect Karakura. They both go into the Senkaiman where Isshin explains to Ichigo his plan to defeat Aizen. After having a crash course unlocking his Shinigami powers, he goes to speak with his Zanpakuto. He rips out the hollow in Ichigo and fuses with him. After a long, cruel battle, Zangetsu is willing to sacrifice himself so that Ichigo can live. As Gin fails to kill Aizen, Ichigo arrives as Karakura's last line of defense. Taking the fight elsewhere, the two engage in combat. Aizen strikes first only for Ichigo to catch his blade. Shocked, Aizen uses Haro 90 but is negated by Ichigo's amplified Blood Vein. Aizen transforms and fires an energy blast at Ichigo. Only suffering minor injuries, Aizen has completely lost his composure. Ichigo then readies his final attack. This damages the Hogyoku long enough for Kisuke to restrain Aizen, thus saving Karakura Town. With Aizen defeated and knowing his friends are safe, Ichigo collapses. A month has passed and Ichigo wakes up in his room. Rukia shares the information Kisuke has told her. So like in chapter 1, Ichigo is just a high school student who can see spirits. Nothing more and nothing less.